Hello and welcome to Inside Analysis. My name is Bushabi Jr. There's quite a lot that is going on in our country, Kenya, and that's what we are here to talk about. One of the major issues that occurred recently is what the opposition leader Raila Odinga came out to say that he had a dossier on the oil importation scam.
The deal that Ruto hailed as phenomenal has resulted in high landed costs as a result of structuring of the contract.
Raila Odinga went ahead to even name some of the officials, not naming their names, but saying that some officials in Ruto's government are inflating the price of oil in the country for their own personal benefits.
Uganda has announced that it will no longer purchase petroleum products from Kenya because middlemen have inflated prices by up to 59%, imposing too high a cost on consumers. The exact same scenario is prevailing here. The middlemen President Museveni is talking about are the Kenya government officials. I repeat, the middlemen President Museveni is talking about are Kenya government officials.
The big question that has been asked and many Kenyans are asking is, first of all, where did Raila Odinga get all this information? Of course, the answer can be easy and the answer can be hard at the same time. Raila Odinga has been known to have intelligence about governments, not just William Ruto's government, but even Uhuru Kenyatta's government, Kibaki's government, and how he gets this information and how he gets a lot of information about businesses is because he's also a business person, so to say. And he's been involved, or his family, or Odinga's family, has been involved in many multinational businesses. And so how did he get this information? I've already answered that. Number one, he has always had his own intelligence who give him information from the government. Raila Odinga actually has his own people or his own men and women in governments who can tell him what is going on and what is not going on. Number two, Raila Odinga is well connected internationally and he can get a lot of information about businesses. And so to say, even Dennis Itumbi himself came out to say that Raila Odinga, through proxy companies, has a lot of interest or has had a lot of interest or has been doing business in the oil sector. And that is the reason why Raila Odinga has come out to say that he has a dossier, because the government-to-government oil deal is not benefiting him. That is according to Dennis Itumbi, who is one of the right-hand men of President William Ruto. So if you're asking the question where Raila Odinga got all the information, you have to know by now that he has his own men or he has his own intelligence system in governments, not just one government. And at the same time, Raila Odinga is a business person. Odinga's family has been in business for many years and he's a billionaire, something that everyone knows. And he can get all this information from all over the world about what is going on, and especially this oil business issue. Now, how does the dossier affect President William Ruto's government? Number one, the dossier by Raila Odinga aims at painting President William Ruto's government as a government of corrupt people. Whether what Raila Odinga is saying is true or not, the dossier that came out is somehow trying to paint Ruto's government as a government of corrupt individuals who are taking advantage of the vulnerability of Kenyans and other consumers of oil, especially Kenyans and Ugandans, are taking advantage of them to inflate prices and make immense profits out of business. That, according to Raila Odinga, is the picture that he's trying to paint of Ruto's government, which sends a bad message to both the suppliers, to the sponsors of the country, to the investors in the country or outside the country, and to Uganda. Now, the question that you might be asking, is it true? Do we trust Raila Odinga? Should we trust him with this dossier that he came up with? I think there are two ways to answer this. Number one, is to look at the source of the information, and to look, and number two, to look at what is happening in the country concerning the oil business. Is it really true that oil is that expensive and just in Kenya and not in Tanzania or Uganda? Is it really true? That is the first question that many Kenyans are asking. Is it really true that oil should be expensive in Kenya but not in Uganda and Tanzania? As a matter of fact, Tanzanians are reducing the price of their oil, the price of petrol. If you go to Uganda, although they have been importing their oil from Kenya, the prices in Uganda have been a little bit lower than that of Kenya. So what makes Kenya's oil so expensive? That question and the answer to that question can be tied to the question whether Raila Odinga's dossier is true, because he said that Kenya's fuel price has been inflated by 30 shillings per liter. So every liter that is being sold, 30 shillings is going to someone's pocket. So Kenyans are being taken advantage of, according to Raila Odinga. And so, can that make you trust his dossier? That's up to you. But we're just here to look at, analyze and look at the things that Raila Odinga, or the dossier that Raila Odinga put out there. Number two, look at what Museveni has done in Uganda. Museveni has cut ties. He doesn't want to deal with Kenya on this oil business, because he says he does not want to expose Ugandans to the corrupt deals that is going on in Kenya that is going to inflate the price of fuel. He would rather deal with Tanzanians and not deal with Kenyans. And so when you look at these two issues, number one, why is oil so expensive in Kenya, or fuel so expensive in Kenya, not in Tanzania and not in Uganda? Yet Uganda imports oil through Kenya. 90% of its oil was being imported through Kenya. And then you look at the issue where even the president of Uganda says, I'm cutting ties with Kenya. I'm not going to import oil through Kenya anymore because there's some form of corruption that I do not agree with, and I have to protect the people of Uganda. And then Raila Odinga comes to give this dossier. You see, so when you look at all this, you might be tempted to think perhaps maybe the dossier that Raila Odinga released could be true. But how true? The percentage should be decided by you. Here we just look at what is happening. And so what should the government of President William Ruto do, or what has it done so far after Raila has released the dossier? Of course, it's simple. Either deny it or look into it. Because Raila Odinga said he invites the EACC to investigate this deal, especially the G2G deal. Some Kenyans have called it gangster to gangster oil deal, but the government calls it government to government oil deal. And so Raila Odinga has invited the EACC to look into this matter. Kimani Ichung'wa, the right-hand man of William Ruto and the National Assembly majority leader, has come out to bash Raila Odinga, saying that Raila Odinga is lying and he has vested interests in the oil business because the open tender system had been suspended a little bit for this G2G oil business. And so some of the companies that even Raila Odinga owns are losing out a lot of money because now they cannot tender, they cannot have a piece of the oil money. But the government has said it went into G2G, or government to government oil deal with Saudi Arabia because they wanted to save the dollar, a foreign exchange in Kenya, and to ease pressure on the shilling, which has been on a free fall. And as a matter of fact, the Kenyan shilling has not yet stabilized. It's still shaky, and the Kenyan economy is not doing well. And so what should the president do with this information? That answer lies in the hands of the president himself. And we have already seen how he's been handling it through his proxies like Kimani Ichung'wa and the rest who might be coming up to speak. We shall be looking at all that is going on in the country and stick here for this inside analysis and how we just look at these matters. And today we were looking at whether Raila Odinga's dossier is real, is true, where he's getting this information. Perhaps maybe with this analysis, you might have learned a few things here and there to know that Raila Odinga has intelligence in governments, Number two is also a business person. Odinga's family has been doing business, so perhaps maybe his dossier could be true or could be false. Another thing is to look at all that is happening in the country, what Museveni has done, and the oil prices or fuel prices, the high cost of living in the country. It tells a lot. And so until next time, my name is Bushebi, and we're gonna be having this inside analysis. So stay tuned for more.